So today is Friday. You know how we like to gist, family gist, relationship gist, so that we can learn one or two things from them. We saw this message. So someone says, "Good morning, sir. Please, I want some advice. There's a problem I'm facing in my marriage. My wife always tells me to tell her everything happening in my family side. But to me, I don't have nothing to tell her. And this has become a problem in their marriage." So now the question is, what are the sort of things that your spouse is privy to when it comes to your family? Are you supposed to, are you obligated to share everything that's happening on your side of your family as part of your, maybe your gisting ritual, or the fact that they should have a sense of what is happening in your family? Or is it okay for you not to share at all? Let's start the conversation.
I have my own family is, I'm the only child. So it's not like they're sibling and all of that, but they're cousins. And because I did not have siblings growing up, my husband I take my husband like he's my brother. All the things, everything happening in my life, like it's open gist. So I would feel bothered if there are things he's keeping away. Now, there are some things I've noticed that he did not mention, and according to him, he was not conscious, but I felt this is a big deal. You should have mentioned it to me.
Wow.
But he just felt like he wasn't conscious. Well, this conversation from this guy's perspective, he is consciously withholding conversations regarding his family from his wife. What are you hiding? Like, what do you have to hide? Why would you be hiding anything from your spouse? Why are there conversations you don't want to have that regards your family? I feel if you're married, you should be open to one another, my perspective.
Open to one another when it comes to your things. When it comes to your family problems, are you obliged to open that to him?
No, when you say problems, there are different perspectives. So problems like maybe family members having personal marital issues or personal challenges. You might think about your quality of relationship with your wife and where that person will be before you explain. Yes, how it will affect. But if you feel like you're married, and if you're truly married to a wise person, you would want to share and get information on how to resolve the issues from that person. I feel like it should be, in a healthy marriage, there shouldn't be secrets. Yeah. In a healthy marriage, there shouldn't be secrets.
Miriam,
the way I see it, so the way I see it, I laughed when you said he's deliberately. I did not see that in what he said. He said, I have nothing to say.
Yeah.
And one thing I've noticed with men don't pay attention to a lot of things. I would say something to my husband, like, hey, and you did not tell me. He was like, tell you what? Indeed, this happened, and this happened because of that. What is there to say? But we want to hear the drama, the beginning, the end. So sometimes it's not because they don't even have any, they don't want to tell you. It's because really, it was not a big deal. There's no gist. But, having said that, there is, I feel I'm the sort of person that feels like I don't need to know everything about everything. I need to only know, what I need to know as it concerns me and as it affects me positively, or however it affects me. I don't want to know BC's gist to the gist. I don't want to know her secrets. I don't want to know all that. I only need to know what, I need to know as it affects me and our relationship. Do you understand? Yeah. So I would not have a problem with how much I'm being told. But if if information is deliberately kept away from me, and the person and my spouse knows that it would affect me negatively, for me, that's a red flag. That's a serious problem. And for me, that's deceitful because of the intention behind it.
Yeah.
But if it's just for gist's sake, honestly, keep your gist. I don't really want to know. Sometimes when you know too much, you are overburdened. It's even safer for your mental health and, kinder on yourself when you know. The less you know, the better you behave. And sometimes when you know a little too much about some people, especially when they are not the ones that have given you that information, and then you start responding a certain way to them, and then they find out that you sat down with someone and
heard.
See, in my house also, my siblings, there's some things that we do, and my husband. Sometimes I want to even come and tell my husband that, he'll be like, no, that's your gist, you and your siblings. I do that, I don't want, And then there are some things that he does. He'll be like, yeah, this is for my siblings and I. You don't need to, to get into
that
it.
You don't respond.
There are just things, for me, I feel that there should be boundaries. But as long as the information that is being shared or kept away, is not done maliciously, I think it's okay.
So there are things I know they call family secrets. Every family has their secrets, right? For me, this is just 2 layers. At the beginning of a relationship, how much of your family secrets do you share to your spouse at the beginning of the marriage? We're talking about marriage now. How much of those things that has happened in your family that is supposed to be hidden, is not for outsiders, do you share? And in the middle of the relationship, you're already in that marriage. How much of your family do you expose to your spouse? Why I'm asking this question is, we've seen people who say, you did not tell me that they had people that were mad in your family, and I entered. You did not tell me that one of your brother was this, or this happened so and so, or this happened. These very tragic experiences happened in your family. You didn't share with me, and they take it very, they don't take it lightly that you did not share. So some people will now say, okay, if I have to get into a relationship with a man, for instance, I will have to tell him everything that has happened in my family. And the flip side of that is when the man now knows everything that has happened in your family,
And judge your family.
he uses that to judge your family. So how do you balance it in such a way that it doesn't seem like you're keeping some things, some of your family secrets from your spouse, and you don't want your spouse to see your family finish? Let's use that word.
So there's a Yoruba proverb that says, "Toba tara lie lokpo o le ra lomo." That if you sell out your family members in a cheap way, you can't buy them back. So I always feel that whatever story we're narrating, we must narrate it from a positive perspective. Like, I'm not going to narrate a story that I won't maliciously paint even a negative family member bad to my husband or to anybody, even if the person is bad. No, I would give a perspective of the story that shows that they've done something bad, but they're not a bad person. And I would sell that narrative so that the person gets respected. That's the Yoruba way, that don't sell out your family members cheap. Don't say because you can be quarreling today with maybe your sibling, for those that have siblings, and then you come and tell your husband all the bad things your sibling has done, and then you mend that quarrel, and then your husband starts seeing your sibling from the lens of how horrible they were to you in the past. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in painting anybody black, because I believe there's good in every human being. They might be exhibiting more of their bad sides at the time. That's on one end. On the other side of what you, the question you were asking is that I don't believe that you should say the entirety of your story before you get married. To your spouse. Before you get married. Okay. I think I did, but that's my personal story, not family members. Story. But after marriage, the two have become one. In an ideal setting, remember I said in a healthy marriage, it's a different thing if you're married to a monster, or you're married to someone who holds grudge, or you're married, you might find yourself married to someone that has some emotional issues that they need to deal with. You would have to measure what you're exposing to such a person. But in a healthy marriage, there should be no secrets. You should be able to fully express that this is happening in my, if you have a relative that has schizophrenia, you better explain, because the day your own starts displaying, he will know how to be able to get you to the right doctor in time.
Or he will know if he wants to get into that relationship in the first place.
Or you have a family history of cancer. You will let your husband, some things that you don't hide. You don't hide it, because you know that this is my first, like Rayo's husband said, and I totally agree. Your family is your first line of defense. Your immediate family, your husband is your loyalty. And your loyalty, when you get married, moves to your husband. Yes, I love my parents, but in this marriage, for this marriage to work, me and my husband must become one.
Yeah. So we're still having the conversation. How much of your family secrets do you share with your spouse, or family issues for those families that don't have secrets? And let me come to you, Miriam. So some persons have said that it's good to share, and you mentioned it as well in your first analogy, that it's good to share what concerns your relationship with that person. But you know, in Africa, when we are getting married, we go beyond just me and you. We go to the extended, your father, the sins your father has committed, your mother, because we have a way of believing that some of those things may affect us or even affect our children. And so some people will say, tell me everything that has happened in your family so that I know if I want to make the decision to go on or not. So what do you think in that space where you have to give at least the majority of the story of your family story to your spouse, so that he's aware of what he's getting into, whether he wants to go ahead with the relationship or not.
Okay, so you see, for me, I don't feel like there's a sit-down day where we sit down and discuss everything. You know, in the course of dating, and I'm going to go and visit my uncle that is in a hospital. He has schizophrenia. Oh, he has, yeah, so he and my other auntie, something. Is this a thing that happens to your family? Yes, no. So in conversations, some things will come out. But usually, unless someone sits me down and says, I want to know your family medical history, and the only person I want to be discussing that with is with my doctor. I just feel that in conversations, you know, or you have a sibling that comes to the house and then money gets lost. So how do you say that? You know, so for me, this is what I will do. If I know that that's kind of person is coming into my household, I will discuss with my spouse. I have this kind of sibling. Keep your, yes, he has very, or she has very, keep your stuff well. So it does not become that, you know, so that it's not too embarrassing for you. Or you tell the sibling, I bet, mind yourself when you come to my house. Because if anything happens, I will speak up. So I just feel that there's just, you know, there's this saying, people will say, the information I give you is on a need-to-know basis. So for me, conversation has to be when you need it, when it is important to have it.
With your husband
yes,
or your wife?
Yes, even with my husband or my wife, even with my spouse. We're even talking about problems, discussing problems with us. How about successes that they don't share with you? That for me will be more painful. I don't really want to know people's problems. But if they're celebrating something, they have just won something, money is coming in somewhere, and they refuse to tell me, that one will hurt me even more. So for me, it's the intent of this sharing of the information. I don't want to hear gist just for gist's sake. I want to know why. What is the intention behind it? If you don't tell me about the successes that's happening in your family, why are you shielding that away from me? Why? You think I'm a witch and I would steal it from them? Or you think that I'm too insecure and I will feel a certain way? Or do you think I will judge you based on the successes of other family members that you are not experiencing right now? So those are the conversations. Yeah, then it opens the door for conversations like that. But I don't really need to know every single detail.
So before I come to you, let's call welcome our callers.
Call us.
So you can call us on 08127053687 or 09139076948 to be a part of this conversation.
Two scenarios.
Okay, give us.
Somebody wants to go to Canada, and you hear after they have landed in Canada.
That's regular.
As in, no, I'm saying family members.
Yes.
Canada is not a 3-month project. It's not a 6-month project. So it is. You see that idea of finding out when you start selling properties and then you need money. For me, I don't believe that. I feel like that means that fundamentally there are things wrong in that relationship. If you are finding out from at like a month to their trip that they had already processed, gotten admission paid, and they just need last minute money, or they are trying to sell off some properties, that means that you're not. For me, family. Because like I said, everybody that watches know. I mean, I have small units, so even it tends to be that way with friends too. I quarreled with BC when, and BC was like, I told her, I said that you bought a house and you did not tell. Like, for me, the day I'm looking for the house, I've already told if you are my friend, you will know everything happening in my life. That's the way I am. I'm learning. Thankfully, because I have exposed myself to friends to know that it's not everything
that you
share. But because I don't believe in witchcraft or you cannot do me, they never
I did not do you.
You cannot do me. So I am open to share about my journey without feeling like somebody is going to jinx it or something. But I would feel bad if my friend is doing something big or small and they did not tell me about it. I'll feel like I feel like, is this how our friendship? Maybe we are not really friends.
Could it
Maybe I should start judging.
You're an only child, so you have formed relationships with your friends. Your friends have become your sisters.
Like your sisters, yeah.
So there are many people who come from really close-knit families. They already have their friends in their sisters and their brothers.
Yeah.
Their
And
siblings.
so they know what to say to their siblings, and they know what to say to a friend outside.
Yeah.
So you would get... No. What we're talking about is the husband's family's
issues.
It's not the
your
same
immediate-
your husband cannot discuss his issues with you or his successes or his problems with you. But you want to know what his brother's wife is doing.
And what his brother is doing.
Yes.
And what the father and mother is doing.
What if the brother... Okay, look at me now. I have a sister. There's some things she would tell me, and I know that she does not expect it to move from me to my husband. If she hears, even if it's not a big deal, and then my husband brings it up, it will hurt her, not because it's anything, but, you know, this was our conversation. We should learn to give people that respect. You have... I come from my husband has children from, you know, his previous marriage. I know that there are some conversations that I will not be privy to, and I do not feel entitled to hear. But I trust that my husband would not keep any information that he thinks may negatively affect me.
What about spending money?
So let's take this call and then we'll go into that. Ahmed, good morning, Ahmed. Mohammed, we lost that. So let's break down this issue of see finish. Because I've seen people who have shared their family issues with their spouse. And the next conversation or quarrel, they use it against them.
Ew.
That's how you people do in your place. That's how this has happened in your place. See, now, I did not expect anything less or anything more from you. Is it not how your mother is? Or is it not how your father is?
Jesus.
And then this makes these people shield their family. So no matter how terrible their family members are, let's even break down when it comes to this, maybe poverty, for instance. You have siblings who are constantly demanding and asking. And for every time they make demands, let's say you have the same purse with your husband, and every time they make demands, you table it. Every time they make... So at some point, it seems like the demands are coming from one side more than the other side. And then the spouses use it against each other. And so people want to protect themselves and try to have their own money so that if my brother asks me for money, I don't need to start taking permission to help them. So those are some of the issues why it seems like some people feel you must share, let me know, or don't share at all.
So the money area, you know, it's a very, very sensitive area.
Yeah.
Even if you don't share a purse, the point is if I don't share a purse directly with my husband, but he should be able to know that this is how much I have, and if for any reason I need, I can call. But imagine if I have so many family responsibilities that I've already extended myself beyond to the level where I have nothing. And then he's sitting thinking, oh, I can quickly just call Tokwe to send me that amount of money. And he calls me and I'm like, I don't have it, but you usually should have. So you did not discuss
Before sending out.
You know, those kind of things. So I found out in the weirdest way. I heard conversation between my husband and his sibling, and his sibling was thanking him for helping a few family members. I say, hey, Mr. Mark, I did not know that you are. Oh, wow. Are we this rich? Because I didn't know that he could afford to do those things. So I was living within a small, restricted budget when we needed some things
Pitying
in the house.
Managing.
Yes. So the moment I found out that you could do all of these things for, and me got need. Me say, if I have need, we want to buy A, B, C, D inside the house. That I did not think you could afford to do. So that conversation around money,
It's deep, oh.
It's a deep
But
one.
let me pause you. Let's take this call. Amarachi from Abuja. Good morning, Amarachi.
You must not lose this one. I want to hear perspectives.
Good morning, Amarachi. Oh, something is happening. So in that case now that you found out, so you see that you're a nice person, probably because you grew with your husband. Some other women will take it to a whole new different level. Like, how dare you spend this amount of money on your family members and you didn't discuss with me? And I'm here counting the pieces of meat in the soup because I'm thinking you do not have money and you are buying phones for family members, for instance.
So now we're going to the reason why he did not share. So the reasons why is, I know that we don't have enough at home, but I want to make this sacrifice because according maybe to him, he feels that the need outside, you know, it's greater than the need at home. But he can't share it with the wife at home because it would still come across as if he's being, emotional, or he's not really putting everything on the table. So that's why some people keep some information. But it's not information that will break you. It's not information that will kill you or destroy you. It's just to make it easier.
He even said that he did not know he was keeping the information.
Yes.
Well, that was the conversation that I did not even know that I did not tell you. Like, I thought I told you about it. I said, no, you didn't tell me. So my thought is, you know your spouse. You should know your spouse to know the one that will flag down expenses. You might be, if that spouse finds out and raise the issue, you say, I know you will not let me give my sibling. That's why I did not tell you.
So let me pause you here. I'll come back to you. Let's take Charity from Bagada.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, ma.
Yeah, I'm a fan of your view.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You are all looking very beautiful.
Thank you.
Okay, this topic caused a great fight between me and one of my best friends. What happened that I'm the kind of person that I love privacy. But this, my friend, she's always telling me everything. She's always telling me everything. How the husband bought the land, how they will start building, and everything. But me, as a private person, my husband bought the land there, and we have started building. But I didn't tell her. Because my husband agreed that it would be like a surprise to our friends and family members. So I didn't tell her. So it was when we opened the house and I now told her, she got angry. She was aggressive.
Wow.
She was very, very angry. She was like, I tell you everything about my life. I tell you all the places that we have bought land from. And you people bought a land and you couldn't even tell me. You even started building, you didn't tell me. So I was like begging her. She took it personal, very personal. To the point that she stopped picking my calls, she stopped answering my greetings, she stopped replying to my chat. I had to pick all of her.
Wow.
I want to
she
see how
go?
they resolve it.
Yeah. I don't know if they ever resolve it. Sometimes you don't resolve it.
No, I think
I think you should be able to resolve.
yes, I hope that they're able to resolve it. I was going, before she called, I was going to the point of why sometimes you may not be hearing some stories and it may be about you. You need to figure out what you do that makes people uncomfortable
Not tell
telling you
you.
things about themselves or their family members. Sometimes it's not the husband that just likes to keep things away from you. What do you do with the information that's shared with you? That when you decide to pick a fight, or you're just waiting for when the person touches you a certain way so that you can give it to them, And I feel that it has a lot to do with trust when people give you information. And even if it's not that you're taking a knife or a gun to the person, you forever break that person's trust. You hear conversations, yes, we are married and everything, but I can never tell you about this. Or you have friends, you're like, she's my best friend and everything, but you see anything that concerns me, I will not
Never
tell.
share.
I had, in university, I used to have some friends. There's one particular one we used to call okra mouth, a basket mouth.
Ewo.
The reason is because it's not out of malice, but she would just repeat anything you tell her, she will repeat it to the next person. Say, hey, is it not true that you said something? But you know that she does not mean to be malicious, but she's already sent you a message that when I have some things I'm uncomfortable sharing with the world, I am not going to share it with you. So who are we to at home with information when we're sharing?
And since you have a call.
So I wanted to move this conversation to expectations and some of the reasons why we share. Do we share because we expect to hear back? Or do we share because that's how we are, and irrespective of what happens, it's not going to change us from who we are? So I remember a conversation I had in the makeup room with Miriam one day. So she knows me that if you do me, I like to do back, right? She knows that aspect of me. I don't used to hide it. Anybody knows. If you do me, it's just the grace of God. I'll just let it go. So, and we're talking about this type of topic, sharing. And I said, I like to tell people things. I talk if you're around me, and that's why I'm very careful the people that are around me, because you will know almost not everything, but almost everything about me, because I'll share. If it happens, I'm excited, I'm sad, you will know how I feel per time, because I consider you a friend, right? But when I now realize that you are not that way, I start, grooming myself not to overshare when I'm with you. And she was like, no, be yourself. Be yourself, because that's who you are. There are other flaws that you have that I will also manage, because I understand that my strengths are different from your strengths, and that's how we balance each other. So the question now is, are you sharing? Are you telling because you expect to receive the same? And when it doesn't come, does it change you from who you are? Does it stop you from sharing, or do you separate yourself from that relationship?
Wow.
Who's going?
I love it.
Wow.
Can I go?
Please go ahead.
So I remember that conversation we had, and
I want to get everything you're saying. We have Kayode from Bagada. I'll come back to you. Good morning, Kayode.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
How are you?
We're doing amazing.
So my regards to all the presenters there.
Thank you.
Please, I just want to add to your conversation on having secret in relationships.
Go ahead.
You know, we lawyers, there is something we call fact in issues.
Okay.
That is the fact that directly affects marriage. As one of you has said earlier, there are things that you know that it will affect the decision of each of the partners. Even in going into the relationship, such issues should not be treated as secret.
Yeah.
For example, if a man, it is possible a man or a woman has decided that she's not going to get married to someone who already has a child out of wedlock, and you have a child like that and you kept it secret. I've experienced a situation whereby 11 years after, the man knew about the child, and even the person that consummated the marriage was unable to resolve the issue.
Wow.
They have to part ways. After having 3 children for the man. So there are issues that ordinarily you yourself will reflect on it and know whether it has to do directly with the marriage or not. Every other issue can be kept secret. An individual must have secrets. You can't just expose everything about yourself to anybody, no matter, even if the person is your partner. But you must know those things that are directly issues that will affect marriage. So you don't keep such things, because anytime it is.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing perspective. So,
Yeah, so with friendships especially, and keeping secrets, or if you're the sort of person that shares, for people that are so willing to talk about themselves, it's therapeutic for them. They love it, they enjoy to do it.
Yeah.
But they're expecting that as they enjoy it, that's how you should enjoy it, or that's how you should find your own enjoyment. And let me use myself as an example. I've always said that I'm the priest of my friendships. I would know everybody's story, and I'll keep it. And if you don't want anyone to know, no one else will know. I will keep it for as long as I am.
You take it to the grave.
Yeah, I will take it to the grave. Because it was your story, you told me, nobody would know. Simple and short. But when and then the reason I also came to that decision for myself, which is I realized I'm not going to be the sharer, is at first I thought people were just waiting to hear my story so that they can talk about it. But I now realize it's not that so that they can talk about it. Some people just like to talk. Some people like to share. They'll take your story, they are talking about it, not because they hate you or they are being malicious. It's just, hey, that's just gist. This person too has that kind of gist. Let's gist about it. Meanwhile, here I am feeling like I've just given you such a treasure. I wanted you to keep it.
Protect.
So because I know that I respond a certain way to how my story is being shared, I'm very careful of sharing it. And because I know that that's how I feel about myself, when people bring their stories to me, I protect it the way I protect mine. So for me, that is my strength. You know that you can trust me with your information and no one needs to know. But your own strength is to talk. Why would I now judge you based on my own strength or your weakness? So I now I now tell you something, and I know that you are the sort of person you like to talk, you share. And I will now be upset that you've done that with my own story. So it's the same, it's the same thing. It's the same thing when you say, oh, I've shared everything, you're not sharing with me. But I've kept your secret, you're not keeping mine. So it's the same thing, but so what are our strengths? And then we need to balance that. So it's important that we know that about each other. And we know that the intention is not because I'm not comfortable with you, that's why I'm not telling your story, that's why I'm not telling my story. It's not because I hate you, I just want to hear your own and keep, it's just...
Or you could be a private person.
This is who I am. And I'm also the sort of person, it's not like I will never share anything, but if there's something I feel that you have the better experience about, you have better skills about, I'll come and meet you and I will talk about that issue, but not generally.
So here is my own take on it. So I believe...
Okay, before I come to you, Tom, we have Abosede from Dokwemu. Good morning, Abosede.
Good morning, ladies. Thank God it's Friday. How are you doing?
We're doing amazing.
All right. I just want to say something. You know, sometimes the challenge with sharing is that sometimes we don't, when sometimes, especially husband sharing help he has done to the family, to us as women, sometimes our response will not encourage them to share. When your husband shares that, okay, they need my family and they need, that is not the time for you also to come up with
your own needs.
They need your own needs or your family needs.
True.
Most times when you do that, the man will drop because he feels that every time I share this with you, you will always also come with another, need.
Yes.
So sometimes it affects the way they tell you things. But me, as a person, I really don't, it doesn't bother me when my spouse is doing things for his family. In fact, I encourage him to do things for his family. And that will not be the time for me to say, okay, because you are doing for your family, okay, let's come and do to my family too. And for friends, sometimes when you talk to friends about some things, sometimes you think you know them. I had that issue. I had a friend growing up. I thought she was my friend, and I tell her everything. But over the period of time, I got to know that she was not actually who I thought she was. So, and now, even if I have any friend that is that close to me, I won't share my personal life with the person again. Not because I feel I cannot trust anybody, but because of the past experience. Sometimes people's past experience affect.
Oh, are you still there? I think we've lost her.
So, I believe people
love this.
I strongly believe that people change. I believe that people, because I've seen myself move from different personality and traits, and I'm creating myself.
Now.
I'm intentionally creating myself. So when I get feedback, I understand what the person is saying, and I use it to implement within myself. And so I tend to give people benefit of the doubt. But when I share with you, because I have very small circle of people I share with, I would expect that you should freely share with me as well. But I have learned that if you don't share, it is
okay.
It's okay, it's your story. It was not an easy lesson to learn, but I've learned it. And I've learned that I should also withhold some things. So in most cases, Mariam, if I am as sharer as I am, if I realize that you don't share with me, I will not share much with you. Except maybe I'm like caught up in something heavy and it just drops. And I'm a sharer. But if you don't share with me, I will not share with you. I will just know that I'll feel like you have placed boundaries on our relationship. And so if you are not comfortable sharing with me because you feel like, okay, I might share it, then me too, even though you will keep it, I will still not share with you. It's just you have shown me who you are. That's the way I have been, and I'm learning maybe not to, I'm moving away from it.
In that case, if someone said to you, you know the reason why I don't share it is because I know that I'm going to hear it from 500 other people.
Yes.
And you're like, hey, but I did not mean to share it that way. And the person refuses to share going forward. Would you still hold it against the person?
No, I wouldn't. You know, like I said, I'm on an evolutionary process. Honestly,
based on feedback.
I'm working based on feedback. So I am walking through that journey. I don't think I have arrived in that ideal version of Talkware yet, which the ideal version of Talkware will be the one that I will hold the secret, I will share what you want me to share, I will share what you do, I will keep what you don't want me to share. I would understand if you don't feel like sharing. So anybody that is meeting me now, I let everybody around me knows that I am working on myself. I don't hide it. I am working on myself. But when it comes to
human being.
Yes, and I understand for the other person too.
Yeah.
But when it comes to money sharing, you see, I shared a story personal to me earlier. And the reason I felt concerned with in my own marriage then was because I'm someone that supports you giving to family members. So it is strange for you now to give and then you don't tell me because I'm not the kind of person that will say don't share. So those kind of things would cause issues. When we then just to put that one aside, then we spoke about friendship and understanding where your friend is at the moment they are in their life.
Very important.
And because you might be meeting, you might have a friend that you've known forever, but she also has another friend she knew forever who just broke her heart, who just disappointed her. So you are getting a backlash of a relationship that you did not, it wasn't your own fault.
It didn't
It did not concern you. So, but she, maybe someone she's going for secondary school just did something terrible to her, so she's not questioning this one that I just met after university. So she's now evaluating everything differently. You are meeting, you are experiencing that part. So always learn to understand that people are going through different things that did not concern you, you don't know about, but you're just on the receiving end. And a third final, because the phone call brought that one up. When they said there are some things you must disclose to your partner, I've said it a few times before that my husband in the first date asked me my genotype. He said yes. I don't want to fall before I realize you are AS, because if you are AS, I cannot have anything to do with you. So there's some things you don't hide. If you are AS, you must be, as a single girl or a single man, it must be something you find out quickly, early enough in the relationship before emotions get involved. Because some people will marry AS, and they say, I've fallen in love with him before I realize, hello.
I'll have to pray.
Yes, let us be open with that kind of information.
Let's take this call from Orire from London. Good morning, Orire.
That's a nice name.
It's not a common name. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning. How are you?
We're doing amazing, sir.
Good morning to you, Uju, Ope, and Miriam.
Good morning.
You're looking gorgeous.
Thank you.
Yeah. I would like to make a bit of contribution to what you are talking about this morning, about secrecy in marriage. Yeah, the way look at it, I think it is useful, actually. Secrecy about personal, that's personal to each couple, or secrecy about family. And we know in the good old days, if you are getting married, it's usually between families. And each family usually find out about what's in each family before they can give their consent to that marriage. Because there's a certain thing that's happening in life, there could be a hereditary disease or illness in the one of the countries. Even around the world, at the end of the day, if you have that kind of hereditary, it's still common. Because even if you have to see doctors today, they want to know.
Oh, he was muffled. So this is a very interesting conversation. I want to share a bit of my story. So I remember back in the university, I had this friend who we shared almost everything. We were hanging out together. If we're interested in any guy, we go to visit the guy together. We knew who we were doing and everything. But I didn't know that she was doing somebody. I shared everything. She knows my boyfriend. She knows whatever I do. And I felt it was reciprocated. I felt I knew. Only for them to quarrel. We're just about graduating when they now had a massive fight. And the guy came to me in confidence and was lamenting everything my friend had done to her. I was like, wait, pause.
What
was going on?
Yeah.
He said, you did not know. I felt bad. I met her, then I went to visit her, and I told her my mind. I told her off. I told her everything. I'm like, you disappointed me. I don't trust you anymore. You can't be my friend. Blah, 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 blah. Emotions. I just poured everything, carried my bag and left. And a few years, so she, just withdrew. In fact, we ended the relationship, as a matter of fact. But a few years thinking back, because I actually missed her friendship. She was a very good friend to me. Looking back, I was now asking myself, did I overreact? Was it compulsory that she shared to me at the level I was sharing with her? Yes, the mature me. So if it happens now, I will not break off the relationship. I would understand. Now, going back to the husband's part, I remember when we just started dating, I started dating my guy. I was told when I was 16 in church, a young woman met me and said, people like you, it would be difficult to get a husband. I said, why? He said, because you're from a broken home. Wow. So any man that looks at you now will feel, this one that you are from a broken home, you will break the marriage. So they will not come. And I kept pondering about it. So when I knew that my guy was getting serious with me, I said, okay, let me quickly report myself and say everything. So I gisted him. I'm from a broken home. My mom is not in the house. I was raised by different stepmothers, blah, 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 blah. And I told him my dad is this, that. So when he came to visit and he saw the dad, I was like, are you sure it's this man
That you described?
that you described? That is, I say, yes, so yeah, a visitor, so he will maintain himself. You know, so he knew all of that. And I did it out of fear because I was already told that if a man knows that I'm from a broken home, they will not want to marry me. So my question is, bringing it back to the marriage or friendship conversation, do we think that we trust too early to begin to share some things? So I was lucky that my husband, on the other hand, did not use the information I gave to him against me. But I've seen people who they use that information against, and the people ran away.
But that means that it's not your own person.
Exactly. So that's also a way to determine who it is that you're going to end up being married to or not. For me, I opened up about, of course, you know, when you meet people, you definitely eventually open up. I've never been the sort to just, once I meet you, everything. But over time, you know, you're discussing and you're getting to know each other over time. You drop some information here and there. Sometimes you sit down, you have a long conversation. And the way the person responds is also a way to determine if that's the person that you want to be with or not. If the person, while you're dating, uses it against you in a conversation or in an argument, you already know that this is not the sort of person you want to spend the rest of your life with, because with bigger information or more sensitive information, they would use it. Exactly. So it's even sharing information, maybe not the most important secrets at first. It's your way to judge if this person is...
Yes, what kind of person this person is.
So we should test.
Yes. I think it's not even a test, it's be observant. You know, we always say this thing. Be observant of the response you get when you have conversations with your friends and with your spouse, your boyfriend.
Let me even add this, sorry. And also what they tell you about what someone else has told them.
So you observe,
yes.
So observation is very important, because observation will help you understand. If somebody has a deal, like for my own husband, it's a deal breaker for him to have married someone that came from a broken home. He told me
that he didn't want to.
That he didn't want to marry someone that he's from a home that they are polygamous. He understands the baggage he's carrying, having multiple siblings from different backgrounds. So he told me that he's so happy that I'm from a close-knit family. So because he had thought about it enough to know that for somebody else it's not a deal breaker. Somebody else will just evaluate you based on who you are. For him, we were dating. He was already in his 30s. So he was mature. He knew
what he wanted.
What he wanted, and he quickly asked, this person ticks the box. What's the genotype? Okay, let's continue the relationship. Later,
is your daddy and your mom together?
So he was quickly sifting out these things that could be deal breakers for him and taking it away, because you also don't want to get yourself married. You see the man the caller that came in that said that they had been married they had 2 kids and married for over 13 years, and then or 11 years, the man found out that the woman had a child before marriage, and that was a deal breaker for him. So he still broke that marriage, even though the information came much later, because he didn't want it. So there's some secrets that are heavy. Share it. Yeah. You are better off.
So let me take this call before I come to you. We have Akin from Ikorodu. Good morning, Akin.
Good morning. First-time caller.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome. The topic is very interesting, but I've sent a message before the call comes in. If we are to look at it from this angle of the Bible that says, Genesis chapter 2, verse 25, where God says, the two were naked and they were not ashamed, meaning that as husband and wife, nothing should be hidden, even if it is of good and of the least of the part in the family, because both parties are becoming one. So, with that, nothing should be hidden. The husband should not in any way hide anything from the wife, while the wife in any other way hide nothing from his husband. Because if the information of not telling your husband or your wife about yourself or about your family later comes up, that can bring a breakup. And you know what? God says he hates divorce. And for that, a family that both comes together to become one, everything should be shared equally. That's it. Thank you very much.
So I said it earlier.
Thank
too,
you,
that
yes.
In a healthy relationship, you should share everything. You should be open. Yeah, the two of you have become one. But you know, like I said, I'm in an evolution.
In a healthy relationship, for
There should
me,
be boundaries, Abby.
there should be the trust that even if everything is not shared, it is not because there's an unhealthy reason why it's not shared.
That's also
There are
an
some
important
things
part.
that would require you to keep a secret or someone's secret, and you're not going to share it with your spouse. Not because you don't trust your spouse, but because you're keeping something, you're keeping your word.
Yes, to another person.
To another person.
I was feeling myself recently. You know, I said I'm on a journey. So someone came and was gisting my husband and said his family has jackpot. And he had told me about this thing a long time ago. But he told me, like, one-on-one. So on a normal day, I'll have told, like, immediately I got home, I'll have told my husband immediately that, this our friend, his wife and children are
planning to go.
Jackpot, you know. But I did it. And I just sort of like compartment. I just told myself, like, this is not your business. He just told you and you've spoken to him, you've advised him, you've prayed for him. So when he was not telling my husband, he was shocked that I did not tell
Your husband?
my husband.
Wow.
I said, you did not tell me to tell anybody that. You were telling me, like, this is my plan. We're gathering the money. We already bought ticket and Kidiko. So I was not feeling proud
Feeling
of
good.
yourself. I was feeling very
That you
good.
kept it in.
It's not my strength. It's an area I'm building. So I was really.
You feel, hope you ticked your chart
Yes,
that I won this
you have
battle
done
today.
well.
So, but I still feel that another person's story is not mine to share. And, you know, sometimes it's expected that I tell you everything that's happening around me. I should be able to tell you my own. If it concerns me personally, I want to share with you, I share with you. But if it concerns, for instance, if my sister tells me something that she's bothered about and she feels I'm the one she wants to talk to about it, why would I go and quickly gist my husband? No, I'm just family now. Why do I go and quickly gist my husband? She may not want my husband to know. But my husband may feel, so you had this information about this person and you didn't tell me. And that causes rifts. And I usually feel like it's not my story to share. If she wanted me to talk to you, she would have told me. If she wanted to talk to both of us, she would have called us and said, this is the problems I'm having. Yes. So should we allow people to share their stories by themselves?
Yeah.
Or is it something that once I hear, I must pass it on to my spouse?
So Mariam nailed it when she said that even if they don't share, trust the intention that it was from a good place. If you can wear that hat, even in marriage, so if I don't hear, it's a healthy marriage. That if everything he or she has told me is essential for me, the ones they kept is because it is also essential. I'm not aware at this time of the story. Then when the time is right, everything will become open.
Even the traveling one.
So on the light,
got upset now that somebody was traveling and didn't share.
So on a lighter note, we know that couples are the biggest gossip partners.
Gossip partners.
We know. In fact, some people will say, don't go and tell your husband because I know that he will hear it. So don't tell your wife. We know that. And because of that, I feel like this conversation, you know, it's not really about the everyday gist. We talk about this everyday gist. And we trust. And as much as we're gossip partners, we also know our gossip partner that overtalks. So you know you have a husband that, if he sits in between a few people and has a couple of drinks, before you know it, all this
spilled everything.
So when you are going out, you're like, Uncle,
don't tell your
that conversation is not for the outside. Or Auntie, this conversation is exactly not the sort of conversation I want you to have outside. So it's okay to have those normal, regular, everyday gist. Not everything is a very serious
matter.
How do I table it? Is this a sharing one or is it
not a sharing one? Let's take some messages.
More Wumi Olalekan says, will she be happy if I discuss what happened between us with my family members? If she won't like it, then what gave her the feeling that my family members would be happy if I discuss whatever we discuss in our family meeting with my wife? There's limitation on issues like this. IBEDC says, okay. This one says, Yaro says, everyone has a right to privacy in their relationship. Observing your partner's privacy is a sign that you respect your partner's boundaries and trust them to share what is important with It helps people maintain an independent sense of self and have time and space to themselves. Yaro, you just articulated, my thoughts about sharing and privacy and boundaries.
So Dame Ebika says, true that, judge the situation before sharing. Some things are worth sharing to prevent more issues. Toby says, I have a friend who got raped in her teenage years, but she never told her husband about it until many years into their marriage. In fact, they already have 3 kids when she told him. Wow, that's dangerous.
Why? Why is that dangerous?
Okay, so I don't know how she processed the rape, because I know that some people who have gone through that experience always find it difficult in sexual relations in the home. So it's they could have had, they could have had issues that the man felt all the while that it was his fault, because she didn't share and they were not able to resolve it. So they didn't tell us the full story. They're still married.
For me, I feel like that's even a topic on its own, because really, how do we expect victims who usually have been re-victimized for even being raped, have been shamed for being raped, to now come into this relationship where they are hoping, I'm starting afresh and I put all the past behind me, and then relieve that experience.
Wow,
why is it important to talk about rape?
So now it depends. I feel you should share, but I don't think you should share it maybe before you get married, or like especially if you're not doing before marriage.
So how many people am I going to tell the relationship?
Exactly, because you don't know if you
when you're about getting married now, so we date till that level, and then you share,
and then you already know the kind of person you are in a relationship with. I've met someone who was sharing her rape story publicly, and when she finished sharing, it was a very traumatic experience. It was multiple men, and she said it. Her husband was in the auditorium, and she said, I'm far stronger now because I married him. That I'm able to own my story, share my story, help other people know that they can overcome this kind of trauma because of my husband. So, and there are many men like that that will be willing to walk with you through that journey of overcoming that trauma and becoming your full self.
What if I don't want to have that conversation with somebody I'm going to marry? What if I don't need my hand to be held? This is how I have decided to deal with it. And over the course of marriage, many years after, and then it comes up, why is this seen as because it's the tone, like she only said it at. Why is it not a good time whenever she says it? Is what my question. Whenever I am ready to talk about it, why is that not the best time to talk about it?
Okay, so the thing is,
this one affects you.
Some people would think this is deceit, because other people would think you're not ready to be vulnerable. The idea of marriage is 2 of us are naked and we are not ashamed. So I should be vulnerable.
And it's a personal story. It's not somebody else's story.
Yes, it's your own story.
But you are with somebody.
So why are you sharing it after?
What if I'm vulnerable with so many other things, but I'm not vulnerable with that particular one? I just feel that a person can share their rape story whenever they are comfortable sharing their rape story.
Not in marriage.
Because in what way does it deceive the man? In what way does it deceive the man that I'm married to?
Living with the trauma.
No. Let's leave that, because now we're just insinuating, right? Let's just say there was nothing in the marriage to even make it look like if she was raped. She's living happily. After all, we have some traumatic people who are traumatized in marriages, and it's not from rape. So do you understand? So I'm saying, why shouldn't it be whenever you're ready to share this particular story? Well, good. I will not see it as being deceptive. Deception is, in what way? If it was, okay, she held on to a child and never explained that she had a child before, I understand. But in what way is she deceiving a man when she decides that it's 15 years down in our marriage, I would like to talk about rape?
We will talk about that after this call. AB, good morning.
Good morning, everyone. How are we doing?
Very well, thank you.
You're doing amazing.
Great. Interesting topic. Okay. I was in a place of attempted rape some years back. That was way before marriage. And somehow it disfigured the whole system. So when I got married, to be frank with you, I'm in marriage for almost 11 years now. And let me be frank, I still have issues when it comes to that end. That's myself and my husband indoor thing. Yeah, but at the time it happened, I was in the university. And I remember getting married, and my husband would be like, are you okay? And, because I hadn't told him. But thank God, I think after I had my first, because I have 6 kids, after I had my first, I somehow managed to talk about it. And it helped, because I met the lady. She was actually a house help while
I was in my dad's house. As I'm talking to you, if my dad released me and he knows, but he doesn't know. He's only my husband that knows about this story. You know, he's the only one in my family.
Okay, so I didn't really get everything, but let me ask you.
She share, but it helped when she now finally
shared. So let me ask you this question. So you want to deal with the matter yourself, right?
Or you have dealt with it, you've moved on.
And then after 3 kids in the marriage, somebody who was privy to what happened to you bumps into your husband and decides to share the story.
And shocks him.
And shocks him.
It's not their story to share.
No. It's what happened. Yeah. Okay. And it shocks him and he's like, so you went through this traumatic experience and you didn't share with me?
Yes.
What else are you not sharing with me?
Exactly.
Well.
But are we still married?
Are we still married?
What so you do that lie? Have you
hey. I can't believe. So everything you say now, I have to be looking at it.
I have to start thinking back.
Okay, so this is how I would look at it. I don't think by God's grace I will attract that sort of person. Because he has put his own ego and sensitivity above my trauma. Or what he perceived was my trauma that I did not share. I did not share with you, and someone told you my story. The person didn't even have the right to. But now we're here, and your care, your thought is not for my well-being. It's more about how you feel you were sidelined from this gist that happened many years before I met you, and I've lived through it, I've walked through it, and we have a home, beautiful children, and now all you're thinking is your ego, that you had to hear it from outside. That's not the sort of conversation I'll be having with my own partner.
Ego,
that's me.
But I'm happy you are. Yes, I'm happy you're on this area because it's important to give people different perspective on how to look at things. Yeah. I just feel like rape is a major traumatizing event that
for the victim.
For the victim.
Not for the husband of the victim that heard the story 50 years
and
later.
it helps that relationship when you share. It helps you be able to connect with your partner when you share those things. And like we always say, in a healthy relationship with a mature partner that you know can handle it. But you already must know the partner that cannot handle. You go and share that kind of thing.
That's why you should date.
It's okay for them to go too. If it's not by force, so this relationship.
So if you find out 15 years later, you now break up a marriage.
Of course not. It's just, you would move on from it.
Yeah. So it depends on how you process things. I have met people that they want to know the time you wake up and the time you go to bed. They want to know the time you get to the office, the time you get out of the car, the time you start your makeup. There are people like that. So if this kind of issue happens, and they're now hearing it from outside, it already destroys the relationship. They feel like they can no longer trust you. I had a relationship with someone who was gisting me that the wife did not tell him that she had a child. But in his dream, he would see a black Pekin dragging him by the trouser.
Where are you, daddy?
So every night he dreams repeatedly, somebody dragging him. So one day he said, who will be this black Pekin that is always tugging at my leg and trying to separate us? Before she now confessed that she had had a child.
Has serious awareness.
Intuition.
Intuition.
That relationship packed up. Because he had his own mindset of, I don't want to marry somebody who already has a child. And now it seemed to her, or to him, that he was being deceived. Yes. And he packed up the relationship.
So it may not even necessarily be that he may not have necessarily broken up the relationship because of a child, but because of the deception. And I understand that's deception.
Why? What's the difference between that and rape?
Full human... What?
Rape is trauma.
I don't know. It's a full conversation.
Outside wedlock is traumatic to a lot of people who go through
that. What if it was not trauma? What if there are so many reasons why you could have had a child outside the second marriage you're about to have? So many reasons. Was it the death? Was it divorce? Was it somebody I was so in love with I thought that we were going to go?
In all sides is trauma. And some people cannot even, they've packed it up. And they don't even think about it. Like for them, it does not exist anymore in their mind.
So denial.
Yes, it can be seen as denial, but that's their own way of dealing with that situation. Like I've forgotten it ever happened. In such situations, I think based on all the comments we're getting, yes, anybody that is a rape victim should always be treated with compassion, regardless of whichever year they decide to share. But it would be a disappointment to the person that receives it. They might, but they should still, in that disappointment, if I'm receiving it, I'll feel disappointed, but I'll treat you with that disappointment,
yes.
but I'll still treat you with compassion because I understand that what you went through was a trauma.
So traumatic, you couldn't even share it with 15, 20 years down the line.
So if it didn't affect our marriage, maybe I'd met you at a place where you are healed, we had moved on, we didn't have any issues.
Imagine you were struggling for
so
to do the other room.
if, wait now, we are coming to this story.
I even like
imagine if when we started the relationship, we realized that me as a man now, I cannot touch you. You're always shocking. You're always scared. And for many years, I was not able to sleep with you as my wife. And we'll go for one counseling or the other. And you did not share this important information that has caused this. And I'm constantly thinking and discussing with my friends that, are you sure I'm a man? Are you sure I can do? What's happening? Why is my wife so afraid of me? And then after how many years, I come and hear that you were raped.
I know that if you are in a situation where it was so bad to that point where you could not even consummate your marriage, it would have come out in counseling.
In counseling,
Definitely,
right?
It would have come
Some
out
people
in
are
therapy.
deep, oh.
No, you are now talking of a traumatized marriage. You're not talking of a traumatized person who has worked on it and is in a healthy marriage. You're not talking of a marriage that is traumatized and is unhealthy.
Based on one person's
and you are now in counseling, it will come out.
So,
we're wrapping up the show?
Yeah, my own policy is that you don't want a husband to, if you don't want a husband to know, don't tell the wife and vice versa. Otherwise, the matter becomes pillow talk for the other room.
Gossip partners.
Yeah.
Someone says, Goodby says, nothing wrong with opening the door after getting, okay. This is another. Ugumola Imane says, I can't hide any news or secret from my wife.
Yes.
But I know she hides family secrets. And I understand she might be constrained with factors like it is not her news to break or out of loyalty.
Adekemi says you don't have to share all your family details with your spouse. You need to build a kind of respect for your family. Because some people are not mature enough to handle some things. Maturity, not in terms of age. We're seeing a lot of that.
Yeah, so you have to observe your partner and know what information they can take. Do you tell your person how many body counts you've had before marriage?
That's not
Why would you ask us at the end of this? We have finished the show. We are going.
We are only taking comments.
We are taking comments. We are not taking that.
I was very, very...
Can we move on? What time is it?
Shared all your body counts.
Even now, I feel really bad. Like what was I? Oversharing, but...
But you know, like we said, now, if you met your spouse as friends, you would have spoken about a lot of things. But you now realize, we're now in a relationship and I've told you things I shouldn't have.
Yeah, but that's, thank you, ladies, for this conversation. So we know now that we need to weigh the things we say. Some stories are not ours to share. And even if they don't share, it's the intention behind not sharing we should be focused on, not just because the person did not want to share. And that's all we can take on the show today.